Daniel and Bel the dragon called Shaitan. Bel and the dragon 1:1. And after the king Astyages was gathered to his fathers, King Cyrus of Persia received the kingdom of Babylon. Bel and the dragon 1:2. And while Daniel was conversing with the king, it was when the king decided to honor him above all his friends. Bel and the dragon 1:3. Now the people of Babylon had an idol which was their god, and whom was also called Bel, and the dragon, and Satan, and they spent a lot of time worshipping Bel, whom was an effigy of Shaitan, and they brought food to him every day. And they spent 12 great measures of fine flour, and 40 sheep, and 6 vessels of wine. Bel and the dragon 1:4. And the king worshipped it, and he went daily to adore it, but Daniel worshipped whom is Elu'hymn, whom is the Hebrew's sovereign king, and whom he prayed to upon his knees daily, and whom is called his odd. And the king said to him, Why don't you come with me and worship Bel? Bel and the dragon 1:5, whom is my God? And Daniel answered him and said, Sorry, king, I can't, because he is the Holy One and the Sovereign One, and whom we all should be in awe, and because he is the odd. And I may not worship any idols or any god, which are made with man hands, but I shall only worship Elu, who resembles the sun, and whom is the everlasting living, odd, and whom has created the heavens, and the earth, and whom has the sovereignty over all flesh. Bel and the dragon 1:6. Then said Cyrus the king to him, Why do you think that Bel is not the true sovereign one, and isn't it a living god? Do you not see how much he eats and drinks every day? Bel and the dragon 1:7. Then Daniel smiled, and said, O king, be not deceived by this, because it is but an idol which is made from clay within, and brass without, and it can neither speak nor walk, and neither can it never ever eat or drink anything. Never. Bel and the dragon 1:8. So the king was wroth, and called for his priests, and said to them, If he is the only true sovereign, and Bel is a great idol, whom is the dragon? But if he is a false god, then you tell me who it is, who is devouring all these meats and drinking all this wine and causing me all these expenses, or you all shall die. Bel and the dragon 1:9. But if ye cannot certify to me that it is Bel whom is devouring them, then you shall all die. But if you can, then Daniel shall die, for you all have lied to me or against whom is the true odd, and whom is Daniel odd? And whom you all have spoken blasphemy against, even Bel. And Daniel says to the king, So let it be according to your word. Bel and the dragon 1:10. Now the priests of Bel were about 70 persons, beside their wives and their children. Then the king and Daniel went into the temple of Bel to see the priest of Bel. Bel and the dragon 1:11. And then the priests of Bel said to the king, Look, king, we will go out of the temple, King Cyrus, and when you set the wine and the meats, which are for Bel, and you make it ready for Bel, make sure that you shut and bolt the doors steadfast, and you should seal them with your own signet, that no one can enter or exit. Bel and the dragon 1:12. And tomorrow, when you shall come here to worship Bel in this temple, then you shall remove the seals, and you shall find that Bel has eaten up all that was left here. And if not, we all are prepared to suffer death. Because what Daniel is speaking against us is lies, and he is falsely accusing us. Bel and the dragon 1:13. And the king thought very little about it, and he did not think that they would disregard him, because they knew that they had an entrance under the table which they had made for their private entrance, whereby they would come continually, and enter into the temple, and they would consume all the food and the meats and the wine, and that they would take all the other things that were left for Bel. Bel and the dragon 1:14. So when they had spoken, they departed after the king, had his servants them set up all the meats before Bel. And then they left the temple. Now Daniel had commanded his servants to bring some ashes, and then they scatter it out onto the floor and throughout all the pavement of the temple, but this he did only in the presence of the king alone. And then they went out of the temple, and they shut the doors, and the king sealed it with his signet, and so they both departed. Bel and the dragon 1:15. Now later that night, during the night, the priests came with their wives and their children, as they were accustomed to do, so they came in and they did eat up all of the meats and drink up all of the wine. Bel and the Dragon 1:16, and in the morning before the king awoke and he came with Daniel to the temple, they found the doors as they had left them. Bel and the Dragon 1:17, and then the king said to Daniel, "Are the seals holding?" And he said, "Yeah, O king, they are still holding." Bel and the Dragon 1:18, and as soon as he had opened the door, the king looked upon the tables, and cried and exclaimed with a loud voice, "How great art thou, O Bel, and with thee is no deceit at all." Bel and the Dragon 1:19, then Daniel laughed and held the king by his seams of his arm, so that he should not go into the temple. And he said, "Behold, king, look down now on the pavement, at all those well marked out footprints. Well, whose footsteps are these?" Bel and the Dragon 1:20, and the king said, "I see the footsteps of men and women and children," and then the king was angry. Bel and the Dragon 1:21, and he took the priests, with their wives and their children, who came in, and they showed them the private doors, where they came in, to consumed everything that were upon the table. Bel and the Dragon 1:22. Therefore the king had them removed, and they were killed, and he delivered the idol of Bel into Daniel's power, and who destroyed the idol of the god Bel, which was also the dragon which was in the temple of Bel. Bel and the Dragon 1:23, and there was there, in this same temple, a great idol of Satan, whom is called the old dragon, which the people of Babylon worshipped. Bel and the Dragon 1:24, and the king said to Daniel, "What do you have to say about this dragon? Who made it, and who is it? And why is it in this temple, and why is it made of brass? And look, it looked like it is alive, but it doesn't eat nor drink. And it looks so real, you can hardly think that it is not the real thing. And that it is not an idol nor a god, and that it is not a living being, and that it is not a true living God. Therefore why then are all these people in here worshipping him?" Bel and the Dragon 1:25, then said Daniel to the king, "I will not worship any idol called Bel or this dragon, whom is representative of Shaitan or Ebli and the Satan. I will only worship Elu'hymn, whom is my sovereign king, whom resembles the sun. And whom is my Od? And whom is my sovereign Od, and whom is the Almighty E? Because he is the sovereign, whom is the everlasting living one, whom is the Holy One, and whom is Od." Bel and the Dragon 1:26, "But let us leave this temple, O king, and I shall come back. And I shall destroy this dragon without a sword or staff." Then the king said, "Let us leave." And when Daniel came back. Bel and the Dragon 1:27. Then Daniel took a pitch, fork and some fat, and some hair, and he seamed them together, and he made a loop with them, and he put the loop into the dragon's mouth, so that he could pull down the dragon, and the dragon fell down and it broke into pieces. And Daniel said, "Look, King Cyrus, this is the God that you all are worshipping. Look, it is now broken asunder." Bel and the Dragon 1:28, and when the people of Babylon heard that, they took great indignation, and conspired against the king, and Daniel, saying, "The king has become follower of the sovereign one of all the heavens and the earth, and the Hebrews' sovereign king, and he has destroyed Bel, by pulling down the statue of Satan, which was in the form of a dragon, and he has also killed the priests of Bel and of Satan, who was in the form of a dragon, and he has even put them all to death." Bel and the Dragon 1:29, so the people came to the king, and said, "Deliver to us Daniel, or else we will destroy you and your house." Bel and the Dragon 1:30, now when the king saw that they pressed him sorely, and that he was being constrained, he then delivered Daniel to them. Bel and the Dragon 1:31, and then they who came, cast him into the lion's den, where he was there for 6 days. Bel and the Dragon 1:32, and there were 7 lions in the den. And every day the lions were given 2 sheep. But while Daniel was thrown in the den, they were not given anything to eat, with the intent that they might devour Daniel. Bel and the Dragon 1:33, now there was in Iri a prophet called Habakkuk, who had made some pottage, and he some had broken bread in a bowl, and he was going into the field, to carry it to the reapers. Bel and the Dragon 134, and the angel of Elu'hymn is the odd, said to Habakkuk, Go and carry the dinner that you have into Babylon and give it to Daniel, who is in the lion's den. Bel and the Dragon 135, and Habakkuk said, My odd, I never being to Babylon, and neither do I know where the den is. Bel and the Dragon 136, then his angel came and he took up Habakkuk and he took him to Babylon, and the angel put him in the mercy seat next to his throne where Elu'hymn sits, and he took him to Babylon by air and through the vehemency of air, and the angel held him in the midst of the air, and over the lion while he set down the dinner for Daniel who was in the den. Bel and the Dragon 137, and Habakkuk cried out to Daniel saying, O Daniel, Daniel, take the dinner which he have sent for you. Bel and the Dragon 138, and Daniel said, Thank you for being so kind to me, and he took it, and he said, Thank you for remembering me, O my odd, because you have not forsaken me, neither have you forgotten about all those that seek after you, and neither have you forgotten about all those who love you. Bel and the Dragon 139, so Daniel arose and he took the dinner and he ate it, and the angel of the odd took Habakkuk back to his own place again, and immediately he was home. Bel and the Dragon 140, and upon the seventh day the king went to bewail Daniel, and when he came to the den, he looked in, and behold, Daniel was sitting with the lions. Bel and the Dragon 141, then the king cried out with a loud voice, saying, Great is your odd, O Daniel, because there is no other sovereign besides Bel and the Dragon 142, and he drew Daniel up from out of the den of lions, and he cast those that were against him and Daniel into the den. And also all those who had caused Daniel to be thrown into the den, and they were all devoured in a moment of time even before his face. The end.